inside of Unreal, all you have to go and do is grab your landscape and just kind of scroll down here and bring up that material. It's a little large. Let's just shrink that down. And we'll kind of scroll down to the bottom here and just scooch this over so you can see what's going on. I'm just going to turn on tessellation. As soon as we do that, now there's a lot of polygons, right? Tons and tons of detail in that landscape, and you can start to see the subtle little contours of some of those areas that previously were just normal map representations. And if I overdrive the value of the snow, it's just a multiplier on that displacement channel that's kind of going into that guy. You can start to see, okay, yeah, that's all displaced geometry now. You can start to really see that. And if we jump back to a lit mode, it's going to just add that really nice subtle detail scattered across that terrain. So great, great new functionality inside of Unreal with the ability to overdrive that material. Now, this is a slightly different example, but it's kind of the same idea. I've got some geometry on these tents that's very low polygon count, right? And on top of that, I've got a little animated normal map. I'm just moving the texture map across that to represent wind. What we want to do is we want to get actual displaced geometry. So the same idea that we saw with the landscape. I'm going to go ahead and grab this material. You can close this one down and just double click on this guy. And let's just shrink it down here and kind of scroll down to the bottom. And as soon as I enable that tessellation, just like that, you can now see that we have these nice tents blowing in the wind, and it does a great job also in the virtual shadow maps, right? So all that stuff just starts to work together. This allows me to create very lightweight, from a disk perspective, I can store very lightweight geometry and then use that Nanite tessellation to add in all that subtle detail. And the fact that we can animate the tessellator is super, super cool and very powerful. And the way I'm doing this, just so you can get a sense of what's going on with that, it's actually really quite simple. Let's just jump in here and I'll bring up the graph for that guy really quick so you can kind of see what's going on. So I've got just my UV, I'm just doing a simple pan across the UV channels. It drives the displacement as well as a normal map. And then down here, I've got this little mask that I generated in Houdini. It's just a kind of a trace in to find the interior volumes, and I'm multiplying that back into the displacement map and the normal map to ultimately have those fixed points of the internal structure of the tent not get displaced and moved around in the wind. So another pretty classic example of the types of things you can do with Nanite, lightweight geometry and having texture map information add in all that subtle detail. Very, very powerful from a game workflow perspective. So the final thing that we're going